Hi, and welcome to the weekly predictions based on astrology for the week of August 2nd, 2021. In terms of the stock market direction, I think Monday is going to be a down day, followed by a reversal to up on Tuesday, then again down on Wednesday, up on Thursday, and down again on Friday. Except for the Monday's down prediction, I only give it about 55% chance. For the other predictions, Tuesday through Friday, which to me means that it's going to be more or less of a, I would say, even week. No major rally, no major drop. So basically fluctuations around, I guess, zero, more or less. In terms of the influences for individual days of the week, I think Monday may see news about things like slowdowns or delays in negotiations, or if there's a maybe pending agreement for an acquisition or sale of some business, especially related to like IT, airlines, aerospace, electronics, power generation. Those may experience either some delays or some more information may be requested, or just things may slow down at this time. There may also be news about delays with transportation, and again, more likely affecting like airlines and or travel by car. Let's see, and that could be due to just again general slowdowns, maybe just delays due to supplier chain, basically some tool or some particular component not being delivered on time. Or it could be due to weather issues, specifically excessive winds or fires. And in fact, there may be some continuing sort of problems later through the week, especially for businesses that are again related to like IT, telecoms, airlines, etc., where they may be subject to either some kind of negative news or attacks, or literally due to excessive winds and fires, there may be some concerns about like physical safety of the offices in the places where they're located. And also on Monday, specifically, there may be increased focus on the news about some leader or couple leaders where perhaps there is some either standoff or disagreement, and maybe there's like a younger leader that's maybe more famous or flamboyant with some theatrical sort of flair that may be perhaps wanting to take things one direction, and that could be related to like an IT or aerospace company, and that person may be sort of having a disagreement with a more senior leader who perhaps is going to be suggesting a more kind of established, more secure approach. And at this time, either the company or I guess the senior leadership may actually support this young, more I guess younger or more innovative leader who's proposing, I guess, a change, or proposing to do things some sort of new, if not somewhat more risky way. The 2nd and 3rd of August may see increase in likely positive news for financial institutions and banks. There may be either just some favorable circumstances or increased profits, and that specifically may be related to adoption of various high-tech, like various technologies, or implementing, cryptocurrencies, or implementing any sort of digital solutions. So those institutions that may be perceived as sort of early adopters or having some sort of advanced, I guess, technologies to their disposal, they may be perceived more favorably by public or in the news because they may be seen as more kind of better prepared ahead of any potential problems, be it due to another sort of lockdown due to a pandemic, or just some other circumstances in the future. And so those institutions may see kind of positive reviews about them, or positive news, or increased earnings. Then August 2nd through 6th, so more or less the entire week, there may be increased focus on the news and increased discussions on sort of comparing the value of gold versus like some one or more of cryptocurrencies. So perhaps even something along the lines of using basically trading one asset using the other asset, and or there may be some increased discussions this week, focusing on basically which asset is more stable, how can volatility be reduced, things of that nature. For the US specifically, from around August 2nd through 13th, and especially around the 10th and 11th of August, there may be some important announcements or events or projects announced that are going to affect large numbers of people, be it because they are, witnessing something that's taking place at the same time, or perhaps it's like a project, maybe like an IT project that will, maybe there are a lot of users of a particular, say, software, or it will have impact on large numbers of people because, again, it's somehow administered through like a web, through internet, etc. And that may be related to, again, something to do with IT, communication, transportation, and or retail sale, but again, most likely online, like online shopping of some sort. And that may involve, again, acquisition, sale, agreement, or some negotiations, and something along the lines of like application, like software, phones, anything that's used for shopping, communication, aerospace, electric cars, or cars that are a little bit more kind of advanced technologically, airlines, robotics, AI, etc. And whatever the announcement is about some new features, perhaps implemented into a new like technology or some vehicle, the announcement will likely be positively perceived by general public, and there may be some kind of positive reception of that or excitement about it, and that may be seen as like a cool, innovative idea because it may enable like faster travel or more sort of fun shopping, online shopping experience, or faster delivery of the products, etc. For China, from about this month and into really spring of 2023 on off, and especially through like during certain periods such as through early October of this year, then mid-April to end of May of 2022, December of 2022 through March of 2023, there will be periods of time where there perhaps will be increased tensions with partners and or competition. It doesn't have to be tension, it could be increased sense of kind of competition with partners. It could be from just friendly competition in sports to kind of having maybe, even partners with whom you're exercising like these mock-up war games, and or dealing more in terms of like the weapon sales, or specifically securing or working on alliances that involve somehow either weapons or military or sports at the same time. And that focus on partnerships, and this could be, again, military partnerships that involve somehow collaboration along the lines of sports, and or just even trade, but again, with more of a focus on kind of this competition who is, kind of can get ahead. Those areas may be emphasized basically between now and spring of 2023 for China on off, and there may be some either surprising deals that might be reached, or agreements that may be entered into, some unusual partners, and or agreements may be kind of quickly entered into and then suddenly they break up, or previously existing agreements may be suddenly dissolved. So there may be either this sort of a surprising circumstances, either who the partners are, the conditions of the actual deals, or the speed with which something can be reached and also kind of abruptly fall apart. And also at the same times for China, there may be increased probability of various accidents that either involve like power generation, so like power plants, for example, or just power outages, and airlines or airspace related kind of accidents, or just service outages, as well as sudden like fires, explosions, or again something that involves like this signal or power being delivered and suddenly abruptly stopping, but then again restarting again. So maybe if there's like some sort of imagining a lunar module or something, connection is lost, but then suddenly it's being again received. So it's just something that may be somewhat surprising and predictable, and this could involve again anything to do with high tech, airspace, but also, again, military or weapons. And again, this could involve specifically old partnerships, which can undergo sudden changes, or it can involve new partnerships, new deals. And chances are they will be with some new partners that China hasn't dealt with, or somehow there's going to be some surprising twist those agreements. For Tuesday, August 3rd, it may be a day of rapidly changing news with a lot of kind of new, I guess, things being announced. And again, especially telecoms, electric cars, telecommunications, aerospace, and commerce. But again, more likely like online, digital, sort of internet-based, commerce. And compared to Monday, so if on Monday things may be slowing down, for example, or there's a delay in, say, communication or agreement, on Tuesday things will pick up speed. And in fact, again, things may be reached faster than expected, or they can be, again, unusual twists as far as what the agreements, if they're reached, again, there may be a surprising kind of clause or surprising resolution. Maybe some point is dropped or some point is added to an agreement in the last moment. Or on Tuesday, again, there may be something that's like maybe a meeting or an agreement is suddenly called off, or there is an abrupt loss of service or abrupt loss of power, or there's some social like media platform is experiencing some service outages. And as I mentioned earlier, for specifically like businesses that are like IT or airlines, etc., they may actually experience some either negative news where they're like attacked in the media, for example, for something, or they can literally be experiencing just some circumstances around actual offices where there's too much fires or winds, and again, there's just some turmoil, and they kind of people have to be quickly moving. Or there's again but something may change direction. So again, just Tuesday, it could be again day of surprises where negotiations may change directions, but also things like winds and fire may also suddenly change directions. For China, August 3rd through the 6th, and especially August 5th of this year, may see increased focus on international relations and partnerships. But specifically, there may be some either increased talks or deals or agreement reached that are involving again military or some weapons, like weapons sales perhaps, or some military collaboration, or again sports collaboration or sports related trade, for example. And at the same time, the positive, it could be again just an agreement about, improving some athletic fields or something. Or on the negative side, it could be just kind of increase of some military tensions, this saber rattling, and kind of exchange of sort of like verbal threats, again, just to kind of exchanging tough words. And so if there's an ongoing, problematic, negotiation at this time, at the 3rd through the 6th of August is the time where China is going to be less likely to be, in compromising mood, and it's more likely to take things to kind of more of a aggressive, not aggressive, but assertive, sort of take a more assertive tone at this time. So let's see, as I said, Thursday, slight chance of market going up, but then Friday it looks more to me like a down day. Again, only about 55% chance, just because there are not too many super strong transits kind of supporting market going up or down one way or the other. But then from around the 8th, through the 10th of August, there may be increased news related to like oil, gas, chemicals, but also Navy, pharmaceuticals, beverages, any liquids, water pollution, things of that nature. And there may be a brief drop in oil prices at this time. And this could possibly be related to either some changes in travel, so perhaps a drop in travel, and or it could be related to some increased regulation, maybe regulation of travel, regulation of shipment. So some sort of kind of stricter regulation or, reduced travel, reduced shipments may lead to drop in oil prices at this time. For next Monday, just as a preview, I think, again, there may be continuing, or I guess part of this August 8th through 10th, kind of a focus on oil prices, again, as well as gas, chemicals, and things of that nature, as well as healthcare and pharmaceuticals, And there may be some concerns on Monday, the 9th of August, about perhaps pandemic spreading or just some other healthcare related concerns, or concerns about decline in profits, again, specifically from like oil, pharmaceuticals, chemicals, beverages, and things of that nature. And so again, I think market may be going down on the 9th. So that's Monday of next week. And after that, August 10th through 11th globally may actually also be somewhat of a difficult days, as in not for everybody, but there's just increased probability of there being either problems with weather, with specifically involving droughts and fires, and also accidents or like industrial disasters that specifically involve fires or explosions or something that's moving fast suddenly kind of not functioning properly. So it could be like an air travel, car travel, communication transportation devices in general, or there may be some arguments or disagreements related to like international trade, and again, something that involves selling things, shipping things, and also social media platforms. So again, some sort of malfunctioning of a service or problems with, say, shipment. Again, it could be due to just bad weather, or it could be due to, again, some sort of arguments and disagreements in that area. And something also, the issues may come up, again, that's 10th, 11th of August, so that's actually the following week. But something along the lines of, again, healthcare, but also potentially veterinary care, and or doing something that involves like precision, accuracy, and thorough cleaning of something. So for example, I don't know, perhaps like there's livestock and things were not properly cleaned, and that results maybe in some pollution of, I don't know, a certain area, because whatever the associated, I guess, waste that's associated with, say, livestock was not properly cleaned, and maybe it contaminates like a food supply or water supply. Or it could be related, like I said, something to do with airlines or car travel, where perhaps maybe there's a crew that was supposed to clean something thoroughly or pay attention to like details as far as like functioning of some part, and that some minor details were missed. And maybe usually it wouldn't be as bad, but particularly at this time, 10th and 11th of August, it may lead to kind of some problems, again, because there may be more of a stress on things that are moving fast or overheat, and so, or things just can spill. So basically, if there is no proper care to make sure that things are clean or thoroughly checked, it may end up basically causing either travel delays or some sort of like spill or pollution, again, related to, say, livestock or somewhere in the vet. If there's some animal that's sick, and again, things weren't cleaned properly after it. And at the same time, on the negative side of that, this could be where there may be arguments against kind of getting too hung up on sort of too many details, and if there is a project that specifically involves like cleanup or checking for details, there may be, again, arguments over like when is it enough, like how much can you possibly be checking, how much can you be cleaning, and at some point things just need to wrap up, because again, too much kind of getting hung up on some of the details is also not necessarily beneficial. So there may be this kind of a conflict that on the one hand, if things are not thoroughly checked or thoroughly cleaned, that there may lead to some problems, like I said, involving, for example, airlines, maybe like an accident or something, hopefully not, but I'm just saying there's this probability of it. On the same time, there may be kind of conflicts over maybe one side accusing another side of kind of getting too hung up on some details, where perhaps the larger picture is what's more important. So now let's talk about, like, glance ahead just in a few upcoming weeks at August, and then I'll touch on the glance ahead for 2022. So for August, around August 9th, I think we may see a kind of a local top for gold and silver prices. So they may come up right in the few days preceding August 9th. And I think later in the year, we will see another kind of a wave up around the 15th of December. And also right at the very end of August, so the week of August 30th, but especially from the 31st of August to the 3rd of September, there may be some yet again focus, but even more intense focus on oil, gas, navy, pharmaceuticals, chemicals, but also spills perhaps of oil, just concerns about water pollution. And at that time, there may be even more arguments over oil prices, and oil prices may go down again due to perhaps concerns about perhaps not as many people traveling, or concerns about pandemic, things like that. And also at that same time, I think around especially the 3rd of September, there may be a large market drop. For the US, right, at the end of August through about February of next year, there may be this time period where there may be just a little bit more increased likelihood of miscommunication or confusion when it comes to either military partnerships, military exercises, or just kind of dealing with military weapons, or I guess also sports. So perhaps increased concerns about, I don't know, like foggy weather causing an accident, like an oil spill or something. Again, something that involves the seas, oceans, or chemicals, or oil spill, or contamination of, again, body of water, for example, but also maybe misuse of chemicals, misuse of pharmaceuticals, be it for agriculture or for by some athletes, for example, or again, just some accident that involves miscommunication, sort of misjudgment, and maybe nothing major may happen, but if there are any sort of I guess exercises that involve partners, or like a deal that involves chemicals, again pharmaceuticals, or ships or navy proceeding somewhere, it really at this point it will be important to kind of pay closer attention to, again, what is the weather, are all devices that use for communication functioning properly, because if that is not taken care of, there might be again, probability of some accident happening, and or at the same time there's increased probability of there being just some unseen threats or unseen attacks. So through, I don't know, say spying or hacking, or through, again, some pollutant spreading without it being seen because it's either so small or has been diluted by water, for example. And the events of this at this time, especially the week of August 30th, both globally it will be focused on, again, ships, navy, but also chemicals, oil, but also for the US, there may be increased focus on the same kind of themes, and especially with focus on navy and military. And the themes or events the week of August 30th may be similar to what may have occurred, or had occurred rather, at the end of March through early April, early of this year. So I think, if I remember correctly, there was some incident of some, I think, shooter going near some Fort Detrick base or something like that, where I think there was like a bio lab there. So something along the lines of nothing really horrible happened, but something that, you know, again, miscommunication could be because a person is not mentally stable, and so they are kind of seeing things in the fog within their own head, and so they're just doing something irrational, but it happened to be in the vicinity of something that's either like related to, say, water, navy, chemical plant, oil, you know, gas station, anything to do with those kind of areas, or, you know, plant that produces beverages, things of that nature. So those kind of events may just be more likely to occur in the US through, I'd say, next February, and especially the week of August 30th globally and for the US may see an increase and uptick of such occurrences. So that's just a very short glance for the next few weeks. In terms of the 2022, I kind of looked at it again, and I saw some new interesting things. I do have on my blog at lastunka.com, and you can see the link in the description, a preview, long-term preview through like 2035. But for 2022, you can also see a previous week's video where I go into a little bit more detail. But just to kind of touch on a few new things that I looked at for 2022, specifically I was looking at important dates, I guess, where there may be some important occurrences in 2022. And I already mentioned that early April looks like there may be some major floods, for example, or some disasters. Then also around August 1st, there may be some, again, some either disaster or accident. But now what's interesting is that early November, it also looks somewhat difficult, where globally, where there may be, again, increased probability of either like major earthquake, or an airplane accident, or some industrial accident, or again mudslide, things of that nature. And of course, for the US, it so happens that 8th of November is also going to be what's called the midterm elections. And also it's going to be a total lunar eclipse. And not just that, there will also be Uranus conjuncting Moon and North Node at that time, while those three will be in opposition, of course, to the South Node and Sun, but also there will be with South Node on Sun, there will be Mercury and Venus, and those kind of two opposing groups will be in a T-square to Saturn. So it does look like a just generally globally tense time, and usually when there are slow-moving planets aspecting nodes of the Moon, again, it's an increased probability of like a major earthquake or an accident. And at the same time, this happens to be an eclipse, and it happens to be on the day of like the elections in the US. So definitely it could be an interesting kind of pivotal kind of a moment of some change. And also for the US, 22 and 23 in general, those years are going to be years, and I guess we're already starting maybe to feel that the second half of 2021 of what's called the Pluto return, where Pluto goes back to the same place in the natal chart where it was when the US was first founded, which symbolizes basically major, I guess, regeneration and new sort of big long-term cycle where things that are related to governance, government, how things are, I guess, who's in charge, who's the leader, even established corporations, who's the officer of a corporation, basically those things may be undergoing some changes. Maybe corporations are, maybe even declare bankruptcies, or can be restructuring, again, both for old established corporations as well as, of course, the governments, the governance, and finance, because it happens to be in the second house of banks and finance in the US chart. So basically, those things may be undergoing, of course, on at a slow pace over a number of years. There may be some major changes happening, but I'm saying that this is happening at the same time as there will be this really intense kind of set of transits and lunar eclipse right on the day of the elections that happen to be, of course, choosing specifically people who will be, I guess, senators and people who will be in the government. So definitely interesting time, and there may be a lot of with Moon being in the eclipse and conjuncting Uranus, and Uranus is unpredictability, and even sometimes irrationality, of course, splash of brilliance, but it's just definitely maybe some emotional time for many people. And also because of this particular eclipse with the nodes being specifically in Taurus and in Scorpio, that's using Western astrology, those signs specifically are related to finance, banks, rates, savings, investments, stocks. So definitely there may be both, even in anticipation of it, could be kind of, I guess, I wouldn't say agitation, but some emotional, I guess, instability or emotional, upheaval or something, where there may be maybe some concerns about financial stability or concerns about earnings, and or the events around that time may somehow lead to changes for basically either many people or for many financial institutions when it comes to either their earnings or perhaps tax rates, or anything to do with basically finance and investments. So definitely an important period to watch out for, both globally, of course, and for the US specifically. And also interestingly, at the same time, those particular transits, the location of Uranus at the time of that eclipse, and more or less throughout next summer 2022 through fall of 2022, Uranus will be making a difficult transit to the Pluto and Mars in the natal chart of China, and of course Saturn also being at the 10th square to the transiting Uranus will also be making a difficult 10th transit to the Mars and Pluto in the chart of China. And of course the nodes, especially around that early November, are going to be making difficult transits to the Mars and Pluto in the chart of China. So when did we see that happen before, and what happened at that time? Well, I had looked quickly, and I did see that there were a couple major earthquakes, previous occurrences, and one of the times that was similar to what will be happening again next sometime summer through fall of 2022, especially early November of 2022, occurred also summer through fall of 1999. In particular, in September of 1999, there was this GG earthquake in Taiwan, a fairly major earthquake. What is it, 7.6, I think. 2,400 people dead, 10,000 were injured, and of course this may not necessarily indicate that there will be another earthquake in Taiwan in 2022, but there may be obviously some other shakeups related to specifically Taiwan, because chances are the same areas that were triggered, last time, or were subject to some events last time, may be subject to events again. And another event occurred in 1976, which of course was this really devastating Tangshan earthquake, where there was an enormous death toll of 242,000 people. And let's see, and basically that was also somewhat similar in terms of the transits occurring at the time. So both because, again, there were some slow-moving planets in transit to the node, but also they were making transits to the natal chart of China that is going to be somewhat similar to what we will see next summer through fall, and especially right around the same time where there will be elections in the US, while at the same time US is also going to be undergoing Pluto return. So obviously things are, of course, we all live on the same planet, so things are related. So, but something that to keep in mind, and things don't necessarily have to be difficult, and obviously not everybody is going to be affected by every single event. It's just something that I noticed, that there will be interesting developments that seem to be affecting things both globally, but also specifically triggering charts of China and the US in 2022. So that's it for me for today. I hope you enjoyed this week's prediction and are staying safe and enjoying your summer or winter, depending where you are. And I'll catch you guys later. Until then, bye.